In my previous life, something terrible happened to me. The housekeeper's daughter was the one who did it. Then, everyone was reborn, but things were different for me. It wasn't just a second chance. It felt like I could somehow influence what was going to happen the day after all the college entrance exams were finally over. The housekeeper's daughter, who had been with our family for almost 20 years, knelt down in front of my parents. She announced that she was actually their biological daughter. My parents looked at each other, pretending to be surprised by this revelation. But I knew the truth. I had a kind of script for how everything in this life would play out. And it wasn't just me. Everyone had been reborn. It sounds unbelievable, right? If you had looked closely at my parents' faces in that moment, you might have noticed that they didn't seem truly shocked. There was a hint of coldness in their expressions. Who was this girl, anyway? Her name was Sarah, and she was the same Sarah who had taken my life in the past. Sarah put on a big show, crying her heart out and looking utterly miserable. My parents quickly helped her up, trying to comfort her. "Don't cry," my mom said gently. "Let's talk this through. How can you be so sure about this?" Through her tears, Sarah managed to say, "A simple paternity test with mom and dad would be enough to prove it." Wow, she was already calling them mom and dad, even before any test had been done. My dad looked confused and troubled. According to my knowledge of the future, he was feeling too guilty towards me to know if he should agree to Sarah's request. I silently chuckled to myself. Of course he should agree, otherwise things wouldn't get interesting. "Dad, just do it," I said, trying to look as sad and pitiful as possible. "Maybe I really am not your daughter." My mom's heart seemed to break, and she hugged me tightly. "No matter what," she said, her voice full of emotion. "Even if you're not our biological child, you will always be a part of the Johnson family. We will always love you, Emily." Sarah cried even harder. "Dad, you have to believe me. If I'm lying, may I be punished severely." My dad lit a cigarette and smoked in silence for a while. Finally, he said, "All right, we'll go this afternoon." The future told me that my dad thought a paternity test would be a way to manage Sarah better, to teach her not to repeat the mistakes of the past. I almost laughed at the irony of it all. It seemed like blood ties were important, even after a life had been lost. They still had hope that Sarah might change. Dark thoughts started to creep into my mind, and I felt this urge to make some changes to the way things were going. I had this feeling that I could. The hospital later announced that Sarah was indeed my dad's biological daughter. Sarah hugged both my parents and cried loudly. At first, I had this urge to change the words biological daughter, but it felt like I couldn't. It was as if the main story couldn't be altered. Well, if that was the case, then let's shake things up a bit in other ways. I decided to change how Sarah reacted. Instead of cried loudly, I changed it to laughed loudly. Satisfied with this small adjustment, I quietly waited for the next day. The next day, we were all called to the hospital to hear the results officially. The whole family was there, including the housekeeper, Mrs. Davis. We all sat in silence, already knowing what the outcome would be. The doctor came in, holding a stack of papers that confirmed Sarah was indeed my parents' biological daughter. Sarah's eyes welled up with tears, and then she started laughing hysterically. Her laughter was so loud that it startled the doctor into pressing the emergency button. Mom and Dad were completely taken aback, pushing away the laughing Sarah. "Sarah!" my mom exclaimed, her voice full of confusion. Between her fits of laughter, Sarah managed to say, "I really am your child. Ha ha, but this is so sad." Even Sarah probably didn't understand why she was so giddy, rolling on the floor with joy. The security guards couldn't even get a hold of her. Finally, on the doctor's recommendation, Sarah was taken to the psychiatric ward. Mom and Dad looked at Sarah in shock, unsure why things had turned out this way. Could Sarah really be laughing herself silly? Maybe she didn't need to be recognized after all. I chuckled to myself. They couldn't handle it already? This was just the beginning. Sarah underwent a full neurological test and was only released when the doctors confirmed she was okay. The evidence was undeniable. Sarah was my parents' child, and I was Mrs. Davis's kid. Ever since that confirmation, Sarah started looking down on me. I had this sense of what she was thinking, something like, even in a new life, you're still beneath me. I found it amusing. Did she really think the universe would let someone who had done so much evil in their past life be reborn for no reason? But I believed she'd figure it out soon enough, because she realized our parents didn't cry over her like they had in the last life. Instead, they cared for me, the confirmed non biological daughter. Mom said firmly, Emily will always be my child. The Johnson family isn't heartless. I'm willing to take Emily as my goddaughter if she wants. There's nothing like a good mom, right? Dad seemed conflicted. But if word gets out, it could negatively impact both girls. I think Emily should return to Mrs. Davis's family and Sarah can come back here. But don't worry, Emily. All your future expenses will be covered by us. I scoffed internally. Was that really for my sake? More like for their own image. He had been a hypocritical, cold-hearted businessman in my past life, always prioritizing profit. The saying that businessmen prioritize profit over emotions couldn't be more accurate. So, Dad acting like that was expected. But Sarah knew now it was her turn to get involved. Sarah looked worried and concerned. Yeah, Mom, I'm not bothered. My main concern is for Dad. Dad had a look of, you get me, Sarah. I seized the moment. I had this feeling I could make small adjustments. Dad patted Sarah's head, saying, Sarah, you're such a good girl. This nauseating father-daughter bond was too much. I didn't hesitate. Suddenly, I saw Dad raise his hand and smack Sarah hard on the head. What the hell? In an instant, the whole living room went silent, and I struggled to hold back my laughter. Sarah was stunned. What was going on? Wasn't it weird that Dad's eyes seemed appreciative before he slapped her? Sarah, being the drama queen she was, chose the most straightforward yet effective method for dealing with this situation. She knelt in front of Dad, slapping her own face repeatedly. Dad is right. Dad hits hard. It's Sarah who's stupid and said the wrong thing. Dad didn't even know why he did it, but even though it surprised him, under the guise of being the head of Johnson Corporation, he stayed calm and went with the flow. Don't say things like that again. I don't need you to worry about me. Sarah gritted her teeth and compromised. Got it, Dad. Afterward, we spent almost an hour negotiating. Then we decided to separate, each going to their own home. We quietly returned to our own identities. Sarah smugly held Mom's hand as she walked past me. I turned to look at my silent father. He had been the kindest person in the past life, working tirelessly for the Johnson family for over 20 years after learning the truth about me and Sarah. He didn't distance himself or treat me coldly. Instead, he tried to fill the nearly 20 years of missing father-daughter relationship. He treated Sarah like one of his own, with unwavering kindness. He was genuinely heartbroken about my death. Thinking of this, I felt a lump in my throat. I held his hand and naturally said, Dad, let's go home. With joy and a sense of relief on his face, he replied, Yes, let's go home. Honey. He held my hand firmly as we walked out of the Johnson family's front door, closing the chapter of the past. I never quite understood why Sarah waited until after the college entrance exams to reveal the truth. She could have done it before the exams, caused me emotional turmoil, and messed up my performance. After all, she did just that in the last life. But today, I figured it out. There were 2 grand balls planned for the 3rd day after revealing the truth, and the guest list included some of the most influential people in society. Sarah wanted to enter as the Johnson family's biological daughter, then play Cinderella, and find some wealthy target. She had this obsession. Everything I liked, she had to take. But I wasn't scared of her petty tricks. It was just a matter of whether she could handle the attention. Some admirers might be good or bad. It depended on how she managed things. The ball was on Sunday evening. In the past, I didn't get a ticket because of my own foolishness. But this time, thanks to Mom's promise that anything Sarah got, I would also receive, I naturally had a ticket to the ball. The quickest way to leave a lasting impression is to stand out. So, the daughters of noble families usually opted for glamorous gowns or dresses paired with extravagant jewelry. But too much of the same gets boring. This is when you go in the opposite direction. You don't want to be too glamorous, but you also don't want to look too plain. This was just the first ball, and my goal was to attract some playboys and then gracefully retreat. I wore a youthful pink evening dress with minimal jewelry and styled my hair in a cute princess look. I looked as fresh as a peach. After entering the venue, I didn't rush to mingle. Instead, I quietly hid in a corner, eating cake. Just as I was enjoying my second macaron, a handsome man approached, wearing a red suit with the top three buttons rebelliously undone and holding a glass of red wine. He looked me up and down and casually said, "Enjoying the food?" I nodded innocently and kept munching on my macaron. The slick-haired man took a step closer. "You look different." Typical player talk. I smiled slightly but said nothing because from the corner of my eye I noticed another red figure approaching. It was Sarah, dragging around a 3-meter-long dress train. I had no idea which stylist the Johnson family hired for her, but even though she's the same age as me, that tacky dress and heavy makeup made her look 10 years older. "You're here too, sis," Sarah said, then quickly turned to the slick-haired man. "And you are?" The man smirked and pulled out 2 business cards from his chest, handing them to us. I'm merely touched by the warmth of the card. I felt a wave of disgust. Unbelievable. I've never seen anyone keep their business cards in their chest pocket. I didn't even know how he managed it, but what grossed me out more was the string of numbers on the back of the card. It was a room number. This guy was here to pick up women. My expression towards him turned icy. I didn't bother hiding it. He should be able to tell Sarah was thrilled, though. "You're the son of Mr. Vermin. What an honor," Sarah exclaimed. "Vermin, that's impressive. He's always in the top 30 on Forbes." I understood the joy Sarah felt at the possibility of catching a wealthy husband, but putting the card in her chest? Come on. This move practically screamed as she was accepting the slick-haired guy's invite. He noticed this too, his eyes turning less interested. "And who might you be, miss?" he asked. Sarah quickly grabbed his hand, introducing herself. "I'm Sarah, Mr. Johnson's daughter. The girl beside me is our family's housekeeper's daughter. She just tagged along." Hearing this, the guy's eyes showed a bit of surprise. After all, judging by my every move, I seemed more like a pampered princess. But seeing that my expression didn't change, they believed Sarah's story. They probably saw the coldness in my eyes, so they weren't keen on getting too close. Besides, there was someone else willing to cozy up to them, and there I was, the most awkward one among the 3 of us. I had this sense that Sarah and the slick-haired guy would have a fling that night, sealing their status as a couple. That was fast. There wasn't much to change in that. Changing it might actually stall the plot, and that wasn't what I wanted. Watching Sarah and the slick guy get closer, I quietly slipped out of the dessert area and left the party early. I thought I was being discreet. Little did I know, there was a pair of eyes in the shadows watching the whole scene unfold. Things went exactly as I had anticipated. The next day when I saw Sarah, she looked radiant, with a hint of arrogance and flirtatiousness on her face. Her gaze towards me was even more disdainful. I really couldn't understand why she fell for the slick-haired guy's charm so quickly. After all, she'd seen it all and lived 2 lifetimes. But Sarah could be head over heels for love, day and night, impossible to guard against. In her past life, she deliberately harmed me because the senior she liked for 3 years confessed to me. Why didn't I catch on to her weakness sooner in my past life? The thought deepened my resentment. If she could do it, she shouldn't blame me for being ruthless. The second party came quickly. Tonight, I wore a sleek black dress, my makeup sharp and alluring, exuding a noble and commanding vibe. After dealing with personal grievances the previous evening, tonight was about solidifying my position. From the moment I stepped into the ballroom, I was swarmed by people making small talk, both men and women. All the social skills I learned in my past life paid off. I could even hold a conversation about a glass of water and make it sound interesting. I was confident everyone I spoke to was impressed by my aura. During a break, I accidentally saw Sarah and the slick-haired guy walking hand in hand. But who knows if she noticed where his hand had just been on another woman's waist. Maybe my gaze was too direct and sharp because Sarah looked over and saw me. After a brief exchange with the slick-haired guy beside her, she approached me with a glass of red wine. "Emily, seriously? It's already the 2nd day and no one's asked you to dance yet. Don't worry about me. Just keep a tight hold on that kite string in your hand." I smiled elegantly, taking a sip of my wine. Emily, admit it, you're just jealous of me. After all, my guy met you first last night, but you can't blame me for you missing your chance. Sarah twisted her neck smugly. I scanned her up and down like she was trash, lacing my gaze with a cool sneer. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Just one breath was enough to fuel Sarah's anger, causing the wine in her hand to dangerously tilt my way. I had this feeling I could make this scene more interesting. Sarah raises the wine and throws it on Emily's dress. Thankfully, Emily dodges skillfully. Turns out, things were already going in my favor. Initially, I had considered switching Emily with Sarah, but that seemed too boring. If I was going to change things, I should make it dramatic enough to embarrass her. So, without a second thought, I switched wine for a slick-haired guy. No clue if Sarah could lift the guy, but I was pretty confident in my ability to influence things. With this small change in my mind, I watched Sarah calmly, her hand still midair. Suddenly, her hand dropped, the wine glass slipping and shattering on the floor. It drew everyone's attention. Then, under everyone's watchful eyes, Sarah lifted the 160-pound slick-haired guy and slowly raised his bewildered self over her head. She tossed him in my direction. Thanks to this little adjustment I had made, I dodged easily, but as I moved aside, I heard a loud thud, like a sack of cement crashing down. The slick-haired guy landed flat on his back. The entire ballroom turned silent, first in disbelief at the guy on the floor, then in disbelief at Sarah. "Call a doctor!" A piercing yell broke the awkward quiet. It was from the guy on the floor, his face twisted in pain, his body convulsing. "You damn woman! I'll make you pay!" The slick-haired guy yelled at Sarah, his eyes bloodshot. Sarah's legs gave way and she collapsed, unable to utter a sound as she covered her mouth. She must have been unable to explain her every action, gazing at the guy as if she'd seen a ghost, trembling nonstop. The arrival of the ambulance completely disrupted the party. In the end, the slick-haired guy left with the medics and Sarah left with the cops. The party returned to its usual vibe, but instead of business talks, everyone was buzzing about Johnson's only daughter, a princess capable of lifting a 160-pound man. I savored the wine leisurely, imagining the uproar in the Johnson family tonight, and I couldn't help but laugh. "You seem pretty pleased," a deep voice sounded in my ear. Startled, I turned to see a really mature and handsome guy. He could charm anyone, from a 3-year-old girl to a 50-year-old woman. "Who are you?" I took 2 discreet steps away from him. "Are you Uncle's daughter?" He casually sat on the sofa next to me, undoing the top button of his suit. I watched him warily, not saying a word. He stared at me for about 3 seconds, then smirked. "No need to be so tense. I'm Aiden." Those eyes were deep and unfathomable. His name was Aiden, a name that needed no embellishment because everyone knew it and feared it. Aiden was an untouchable force in business. It's not an exaggeration to say he owned an empire. Then he spoke again. "Let's make a deal, Miss Emily." He needed me to take care of his biggest threat, the Vermin family. That's the family with the greasy-haired guy. At first, I played dumb, trying to act like I was too insignificant to be of help. But Aiden seemed determined. "Miss Emily, you're smart. You might not know this, but I've been watching you since last night." I was stunned. I thought I had covered my tracks perfectly. He looked at me for a moment, then continued leisurely. "Last night, you managed to throw someone you disliked under the bus and walk away without a scratch. They had no clue. And today, even though I don't know what little tricks you pulled, I'm sure today's mess was linked to you." I couldn't deny it. I looked at him a bit more seriously. "Make a deal with me. Use those mysterious skills of yours to take down the Vermins for me, and I'll squash the Johnson family like it's nothing." He wasn't asking. He was dragging me into his plan. "The Johnson family doesn't have any grievances with you, right?" I asked. "True, they don't. Whether they disappear or not doesn't matter to me, but since it's what you want, I can make it happen." I made one last feeble attempt. "You might be overestimating me. I really don't have the skill to be of great use. Besides, no matter how annoyed I am with the Johnsons, it's a family matter. I'll handle it myself." He stood up slowly, buttoned the top of his suit, and chuckled softly, as if he was a bit tired. But it's not up to you, is it, Miss Emily? You're smart. I expect to see you on the 28th floor of the Hwasan Cultural Center on Monday morning. Don't let me down. I stayed in place, unable to snap out of it for a long time. That intimidating man was no longer on the dance floor. Instinct told me I was in deep trouble. In the following 3 days, Sarah's affair spread like wildfire. Everyone was both amazed at Sarah's strength and a bit disdainful. Then there were rumors that the Johnson family picked up the wrong daughter, suggesting they had mistakenly raised someone else's daughter for years. Just when they finally had a well-bred daughter, it turned out she wasn't even theirs. I was initially delighted to hear about things that would drive my dad crazy, but slowly my dad also started getting bad press. It was hard not to suspect Aiden was hinting at the consequences if I didn't help him. Besides fear, I was a bit angry. This life, all I wanted was to settle old scores and then live well. I didn't want to get involved in any high-stakes schemes, but at this point, it really wasn't up to me. Monday morning at 8 a.m., I arrived on the 28th floor of Hwasan as planned. It seemed in line with Aiden's expectations. As soon as I entered his office, he got straight to the point. "Tell me your plan." I took out a folder from my bag and handed it to him. Then I gave him a pen and walked him through my entire plan. Aiden seemed very pleased. He was optimistic about me and said if the mission succeeded, he'd reserve a spot for me among the company's top executives. I couldn't fathom why he trusted me so much. The thing is, I'd never even met this guy in my past life. I couldn't dwell on it. While the greasy-haired guy was still recovering, I needed to strike. Sarah had been bailed out by our parents last night. Dad thought she had a relapse and shut her in tight. I had to pour some fuel on the fire. I first bought the cheapest chicken soup I could find on the street, then casually got a thermos. After simple setup, I headed to the hospital. Greasy Hair was lying in bed, whining for a nurse. The nurse can't come, so will I do? In a pair of sky-high heels, I ignored all obstacles and ran into Greasy Hair's ward. He was shocked to see me, his eyes nearly popping out. The honey trap had to be all about showing some charm. After about a week of deprivation, I doubted he could resist. Black stockings, a red dress, and big waves. I quickly reassured him, opened up the soup I worked so hard to get, and prepared to feed him. He looked at the crystal-clear soup, refusing to open his mouth. While a rich kid like him would have some brains, I took a sip myself before offering it to him. He looked me up and down, then grinned and drank the spoonful of soup. Wondering why Miss Emily is here coming to plead for someone in the Johnson family? Huh? Not a chance. I'm here for a deal. I smiled mysteriously. Oh, do tell. You were seriously injured because of Sarah. Don't you think that's strange? Your dad's health is failing fast. The air spot is within reach. So why were you injured at this critical moment? I hinted while feeding him more soup. He looked epiphanous, though still seemingly clueless. I stoked the flames, pressing on. Someone's jealous of your spot and wants you gone. You mean she was trying to harm me on purpose? You've probably heard the rumors by now, right? Sarah was never raised in a wealthy family. There's no way she could think up such a nasty scheme. There's got to be someone else behind it. The greasy-haired guy brainstormed for a bit and finally gave me the answer I wanted. David. You're quick, aren't you? After a moment of looking stunned, the greasy guy then smirked maliciously. But why should I trust you? I've been waiting for that question. I've been living it up in Johnson's family for over a decade. And then suddenly, Sarah shows up crying for her real parents. Do you think I can swallow that? I watched his expression and continued. Johnson's family is cold and heartless. Once they acknowledged Sarah, they ignored me. And now Sarah snagged a big fish like you. All of that was mine, and I'm taking it back. And you're smart and capable. You're the best partner I could have. Seeing the greasy-haired guy soften a little, I went in for the kill. If this goes through today, who do you think is more worthwhile, me or Sarah? I batted my eyes at him. The greasy guy picked up on it right away and nervously reached his right hand to my thigh. I immediately stopped his hand, fighting off my distaste. I don't do deals without sincerity. As long as you cooperate, Vermin Group and all its spoils will be yours. Think I'd run out on that? He thought for a moment and asked, "What do you want me to do?" "Don't worry, you'll get all the details in an email tonight. Keep an eye out." I glanced suddenly at the paparazzi across the way, leaned in, and whispered in his ear, "Looking forward to your good news, future Vermin CEO." He was flattered by the title and cheerfully agreed. With my goal reached, I left the hospital without a backward glance, turning off my phone's recording device. If Aiden isn't on his knees calling me boss after this, I'd be shocked. With the greasy guy dealt with, my next target is the Johnson family. I'm in no rush there, though. I want to let things brew until Sarah walks right into my trap. 2 days later, no call from Sarah, but Aiden's call came first. "You sure went all out. I underestimated you." I leaned back on the couch. "What? The media's making moves?" After a pause, he said, "Photos of you and Amir in the hospital room have been posted by most media outlets, probably trending by tonight." "That's good. Efficient work." I was unfazed. "Some accounts are stirring the pot. Need me to get rid of them?" "Nope. Let them stir. The more fuss they make, the angrier Sarah will get." After a while, a soft murmur came through the phone. "You really have changed." That sounded off. I quickly got suspicious. "What do you mean, Aiden? Do you know something?" "Hey, I'll explain everything when you're done." That was the last thing Aiden said before he hung up. I angrily tossed my phone aside. Suspicious. Very suspicious. Everyone who's come back is connected to my death somehow, but I don't remember an Aiden at all yet. His odd behavior and words suggest he knows something. Before I could piece it together, Sarah's call broke in. I chuckled softly before answering. She launched into a tirade right away. "What the hell, Emily? Taking advantage, huh? A mirror's not yours to take those pictures of you. Disgusting. You're just a butler's daughter. What makes you think you can compete with me?" I laughed, twirling a broken nail. "You already slammed Amir into the hospital. Think he'll ever forgive you?" "Amir told me he had feelings for me at first sight, but you clung to him so hard he couldn't shake you. Now he finally has a reason to let you go." "Feelings at first sight? Impossible. He said I was the only one he loved. You're full of it, Emily. Who are you trying to fool?" Sarah was losing it. I laughed even more. "Oh, but Amir said after his release on the 30th, he wants to take me to the ocean. Says he only takes people he truly likes. But he never told you that. Oops. Almost forgot. You and Amir were just a one-night stand. Maybe he never meant to marry you." That last jab hit Sarah right where it hurt. For someone as proud as her, being Amir's plaything wasn't enough. "Damn you, Emily, just you wait." She hung up. I chuckled knowingly, betting she's frantically dialing Amir now. I had this sense that things would go exactly as I thought. After hanging up with me, Sarah called Amir. Her probing put Amir on edge. Sarah promised to take him home to apologize when he's released, but Amir said he's got plans and warned her off, then hung up, leaving Sarah sobbing and alone. All of this, of course, was relayed to Amir. I made sure he wouldn't contact Sarah anymore, which undoubtedly became the last straw for her, making Sarah go crazy. It just needed the right opportunity, and I would provide her the time and place, like offering something borrowed. I'm enjoying grapes as I think about it. "Sarah, oh Sarah, let's see if you can wise up this time." She took the bait. As for why, maybe it's because she managed to escape under layers of watchful eyes. I had a feeling something was off. With Sarah's smarts, she shouldn't have gotten away so easily. But now that she's missing, it proves she's planning to make her move. The whole Johnson family is in chaos. My parents, learning from their previous experiences, can sense something is wrong. They've ordered a citywide search, including surrounding cities. I tried to find out Sarah's whereabouts, but it wasn't clear. It just said Sarah escaped from the Johnson family and went missing. I hurriedly called Aiden. Sarah took the bait. Well done," he replied, not sounding very surprised. "Do I need to start the action early?" I asked. "Up to you. I've told you. I trust you." I was really annoyed by his calm attitude and hung up on him in frustration, still trying to figure out how Sarah escaped so easily. My original plan was to lure her when Amir got out of the hospital and her family came to welcome him. With the information I had put out, Sarah must resent us. She's naturally ruthless. At the cliff by the river, she would definitely hesitate. Our goal was to have her push us off, after which Aiden would have someone ready to save us from the water within 5 minutes. There would also be arrangements with the police to catch Sarah immediately after we fell. Aiden has people in the police force. At that point, we only needed to spread the rumor of Amir's death. Vermin's frail health wouldn't last till the next day. With Amir, Aiden's hand, and the company's CEO suddenly gone, Aiden just needed to seize the opportunity to grab what's originally Vermin's, wiping out potential threats to him on the market. The one flaw in our plan was Sarah's disappearance. I just had to wing it now and go with the flow. On the 30th, the day Amir got out of the hospital, I smoothly got him into the car with the story of going to see the sea, making Sarah suspicious. But I didn't tell him the real plan. It was autumn, and this deserted place was perfect for our plan. I parked by the cliff and lifted Amir out in his wheelchair. Suddenly, Sarah appeared. "You two kept me waiting," she said. I acted surprised and scared. "Sarah, what are you doing here?" Sarah crossed her arms, stepping closer. "Why can't I be here?" Then she looked at Amir in the wheelchair. "Amir, what spell did she cast on you? What do I lack compared to her?" Amir smirked. "I was just playing, Sarah. Adult relationships aren't as simple as you think. Besides, do you think you qualify to be my girlfriend?" Sarah turned red with anger at his words. "Did you hear that, Sarah? Amir's not interested in you. Stop deceiving yourself. You're just a pawn for the Johnsons. You think you're important in that family? They keep you locked up because you're an embarrassment." I added fuel to the fire. "Sarah, do you know you're already doomed?" Sarah glared. "How? What?" "You think you can push me off? I'm not scared of you. You're just a loser." Sarah finally lost all reason. She charged at me, her strength surprising me. I had little chance to fight back. Amir, scared out of his wits, fell from his wheelchair. In a critical moment, Sarah stepped hard on my hand, and just like that, I was pushed off the cliff. When I woke up, I found myself in a car. Aiden was sitting beside me, wearing glasses and reading a newspaper, looking very serious. I couldn't deny his looks were top-notch, but his heart was blacker than coal. Holding my aching head, I got up, not sure how long I'd been out. I only remembered the icy cold water crashing over me, the old pain and suffocation rushing back, and I lost consciousness, letting my body sink. Trying to recall what happened, I asked, "Where's Amir?" "Dead," Aiden replied, his words like a bucket of cold water on me. I stared at his profile. He was serious. I panicked, scrambling off the bed. How could he be dead? Was it a mistake, or did he not survive? Aiden finally put down the newspaper, looking calmly at me. I didn't have him rescued. I collapsed, gripped with pain and anger. Why? It's the first time I shouted at him. Aiden looked down at me like a beggar overestimating themselves. Your plan was perfect, but I couldn't fully trust it. You must know only the debt brings peace in this world. So, you killed him? I asked him in a broken voice, tears streaming uncontrollably down my cheeks. Aiden leaned in a little, wiping away my tears gently, and said softly, "Shouldn't you be happy? Amir is dead, Sarah is captured, the whole world is ours now." By world, he meant the setup he wanted, one superpower among many strong powers. "But you're smarter than I imagine, even better than Sarah," he mused. I looked up, shocked, like I got hit by lightning. "What do you mean? You worked with Sarah too?" He gave a gentle smile that sent chills down my spine. Patting my head, he said, "Smart, but that was in a past life." I froze, unable to move, struggling to believe what he was saying. You're saying you're reborn too?" My last words trembled a bit. This shocked me, but at least I kind of expected it. What intrigued me more was why he got reborn. I couldn't help but look at him with some resistance and caution. "You said you'd tell me everything once it was all over." He looked at me for a long time, his eyes unfathomable, just like when we first met. "In a past life, to bring down the Johnson family, I made a little deal with Sarah. I know you're curious why I wanted to bring them down, and let me tell you, my goal from the start was the Johnson family, but who knew you'd bring me a delightful surprise? So I thought, why not take care of everything at once to eliminate future troubles? I trembled uncontrollably. This man was scarier and more sinister than I thought. As for the deal, she helped me disrupt the Johnson family's business, and I helped her deal with you. The weight crashed down internally, twisting every inch of my nerves and leaving me drenched in cold sweat. So, in the past life, you were the one behind my murder? He nodded indifferently. Yeah, but I didn't do it myself. I just gave her some advice. Thought everything would be perfect after you were gone, but who knew Sarah could be so dumb? After killing you, nothing was cleaned up, and she got caught by the cops in no time, dragging me along with the suspicion. Fortunately, things hadn't escalated too much before I got reborn. At first, I couldn't believe it. But then I saw Sarah and Amir making fools of themselves while you seemed aware of everything. I knew for sure you were reborn too. Plus, you never met me before. It's terrifying to realize he approached me with hidden motives. Then it hit me. You might be much smarter than Sarah, and you also had a grudge against the Johnson family. You're perfect to use against them. It's clear I was right. You did it. The Johnson and Vermin families collapsed because of you. Come to me, together we can grow our empire. Whatever you want, I'll give you. Money, wealth, you name it. I suddenly looked at him, a forced smile on my face. Sorry, you lost. The moment I finished speaking, sirens blared outside and police cars quickly surrounded the RV. Aiden realized something was seriously wrong, frantically looking out the window. How is this possible? How? Standing barefoot, I looked down at him. Aren't you curious why Sarah could easily lift a 160-pound Amir? Seeing his confused, disbelieving eyes, my smile deepened as I leaned close to his ear. That's because I can change the script. Aiden widened his eyes, staring at me in disbelief. From the moment you blindly trusted me, I lost all trust in you. We barely knew each other. Why would the famous Aiden value an insignificant fake princess? From then on, I was always on guard against you. I never planned to bite back until you reached out to my dad. That I couldn't tolerate. Under your pressure, I couldn't do much, so I pretended to agree with you to destroy the Vermin family. I did help you with that, but you know where you really disappointed me? So, you've guessed? Sarah left the Johnson family with my help, right? Aiden spoke with a sinister tone. Yes, I know Dad too well. Cautious, arrogant, and treacherous. Escaping his control isn't easy, especially not for someone like Sarah, unless you manipulated things behind the scenes. She could only escape because you helped. As for why Sarah trusted you so much, it must be because you knew each other in a past life. As you should have guessed, Sarah was reborn too. I know you did all this out of fear that something might go wrong again, ruining your plans and dreams, but the mistake is Sarah's overtrust in you, which got me suspicious. Aiden chuckled a few times, looking down. Not bad. You're really impressive. I did underestimate you before, but so what if you figured it out and called the cops? Amir is dead, and dead men don't talk. He can't do anything about me. I know that. So I changed the script on the way here. I guess your personality might lead you to kill, and luckily I was right. Aiden's expression turned sour, his eyes locked fiercely on me. I crouched down and looked him straight in the eye. Aiden, I finally got my revenge, right? Aiden quickly pulled out a gun from his pocket and pointed it at me, threatening. Get all the cops outside to leave. Whether you live or die is up to you now. I kept looking him in the eye, my smile growing wider. I didn't say yes or no. We just stayed there, locked in a standoff. The fear in Aiden's eyes became more obvious. 1 second, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Finally, Aiden couldn't take it anymore and shot at my left arm. Bang! A pink candy fell to the ground. He looked at his gun in a panic, confused and lost. Captain Zhang, bring the team in, I said into my earpiece. Footsteps grew closer, and Aiden lost all hope. You won with a cheat, nothing to be proud of. Yeah, maybe there's nothing to be proud of, but if it helps the people by getting rid of evil, I think that's enough. I stood up and pushed the pink candy into his hand, saying one last thing. Happy birthday, Aiden. Sadly, you'll probably be spending the rest of your life in jail. Aiden got arrested. Besides attempted murder, he had other crimes, but the police couldn't figure everything out yet. The investigation was still ongoing. After that, I visited Sarah. She was sentenced to 8 years. How many 8 years do you get in life? I guess my revenge is fulfilled. Sarah said a lot, mostly sarcasm and mockery. I didn't interrupt, just listened quietly. When she finished, I said with no expression, Sarah, the debt from a past life needs to be repaid in this one. Seeing her look of shock and horror, I didn't give her a chance to argue. I'm confident there's enough to keep her anxious and suffering in prison for those 8 years. I also went to see Amir. Vermin still passed away. We were pushed off a cliff by Sarah, and Aiden quickly spread the word. Vermin lived up to expectations and died. But even so, Amir didn't become the president of the Vermin group. The spot he fell from off the cliff was too precarious. Now he's not much different from a eunuch. I guess that's some justice for Sarah, too. For someone like him to become a eunuch, that feels about right. Amir was always gloomy and downcast. In the end, he became a monk out of anger. That was a bit unexpected for me. As for my parents, who also got a second chance in life, they were devastated after learning Sarah committed murder. They couldn't understand why, despite being cautious, things ended up like this. I don't really know how things turned out for them. I've cut all ties with the Johnson family, and that won't change. In the cold wind, I thought a lot about the past and the present. But when I got home and saw my dad dozing on the couch, with the chatter of the TV in the background, I noticed a meal he had warmed up for me covered with a newspaper. This is actually kind of nice.